gave you more than I gave to myself. You had me on a shelf, but now I'm somewhere else. I was bending, breaking, lost in your storm. Now I'm a hurricane in my purest form. You tried to play me like a fool, had me doubting my worth. Nah, I flipped the script on you, reborn from the dirt. You thought I stayed down? Nah, new mindset, I'm putting me first. This ain't no apology, this my reign. No more bowing down, I'm done with the games. Toxic love, no, I broke that spell. I'm the villain in your story, I wrote you hell. Messy goddess, fierce, wild, unleashed, untamed, not mild. Messy goddess, feel the fire in my eyes. No chains hold me, I cut all ties. Messy goddess.
This is the Mediocre Black Woman Podcast, the space where we side-eye perfectionism, embrace our humanity, and laugh through the chaos. Girl, trust me, you're in the right place. Hey y'all, I'm Thea, your host here at the Mediocre Black Woman Podcast. I've spent over a decade working in tech, leading learning and development projects, developing content for execs, and running corporate and consumer podcasts. So yeah, I'm highly qualified, just an all-around baddie. Let's keep it real. But here's the thing. I've spent my whole life as a high achiever, doing the most and still hitting those walls we know too well. Being overlooked, underestimated, and overworked. Like my C+ work is somebody else's A++. And don't even get me started on having my ideas taken or being spoken over in meetings. Now, what really pushed me to start this show, though, was Kamala's loss in the election. It triggered something deep in me and in so many other high-achieving Black women I know. Seeing one of the most qualified candidates still not be enough for some people was a gut punch because it mirrors our experiences. So this is a podcast for us, for the women who are tired of carrying the world and still being told we're too much or not enough. It's a space to take the cape off, laugh through the chaos, and just be. So girl, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to the Mediocre Black Woman Podcast. What you're about to hear is just a little preview of this week's paid episode. To catch the full thing, join me over on Substack. Over there, you'll get the full episode, fun notes, longer posts, all the podcast episodes, and access to our subscriber chat. We've got free and paid tiers, so there's a way for everyone to stay in the loop. You can check all of this out and more in the show notes for today. Thanks again for listening, and I can't wait to see you on the inside. So then she would come to town, right? The first time she came to town, she was sitting next to me. And now, mind you, again, I was a contractor, so my hours were billed. They're not like salary where you work however many hours, you get the same pay regardless of what the hours are. If you work 80 hours versus if you work 50 hours, it's the same. Contract, you're hourly, so you get paid for how many hours you work. So I used to do stuff like skip lunch. And I would get in super early, skip lunch, leave early. And because I was doing a lot of other things, but I was still getting everything done. So she comes into town, she's sitting next to me, and people kept walking by her asking her to go to lunch. And these are non-Black people. They would walk by her, ask her to go to lunch, and she'd be like, oh, no, I'm not going to lunch. I'm not hungry, so I'm good. But you guys go ahead, right? Y'all. Then she would turn to me and be like, Thea, you want to go to lunch? I was like, this bitch is a mean girl. I was like, Zarina is a mean girl. I was like, no. I was like, I'm skipping lunch. You don't have to do that. And I was like, I know. I was like, I have my schedule set up the way that I need to have it set up so I can get my work done and so I can get my other outside obligations done. Do you have a problem with that? No, but like, you don't have to, skip lunch. Like, I would love for us to go to lunch together. I was like, I thought you were hungry. Like, what? Like, this is like, If you don't want to be seen as playing favorites, this doesn't really give that vibe right now. So I was like, fine, we'll go to lunch together, Zarina. So we go to lunch, and I was like completely on guard because I just didn't trust her. Like, behind closed doors, you and I would have these agreements, and then in front of everybody else, you would make me look like an ass, and try to, assert your power in a weird way. And so, and back then I wasn't as good as articulating things the way I'm articulating them to you now. And even still, sometimes, like, the way I process things, I'm a little bit of a slower processor when it comes to some stuff. Because I'm like registering, I'm like, is this really, I always go through, is this really happening right now? I know stuff happens and I know people are the way they are, but like, when you are the type of person that don't get down like that, sometimes you're like, wait, is this really what's going on? Like, I have to like process, like, the person is really doing this to me right now? Oh, okay. And it's like, once I get that process, then I'm like, okay, this is how I move forward, right? So I was already on guard, and I also didn't really know how to articulate things the way that I do now. So because some of the stuff where you're just like, this isn't like how I talked about in episode 2 about microaggressions, when it's microaggression is tricky because it makes you question like the behavior is technically not problematic, but it also is, and it's really hard to explain why. And so that's how I felt around her, and that's how I feel sometimes when I try to process things that I haven't really fully like had time to like allow to sink in. So I just was like, is she for real? She's a mean girl. Okay, so we go to lunch, right? Because I was just like, she kept hounding me. I was like, this is like low-key harassment. I don't want to go to lunch with you. I don't like you. You've done so many things, and I didn't even tell you guys all the other stuff. But she had done so many things up to that point, so that by the time I was sitting in front of her, I was like, you make me sick. The sight of you makes me want to, like, vomit, Like, ugh, girl. Musty ass energy. Ugh, stank energy. Anyway, so we go to lunch, and I could tell this wasn't a friendly lunch. This was a like, let me get information about you lunch. And I never understood the purpose of fact finding or like going, especially when you don't really intend to really connect with someone. Like, what is the purpose of learning all this information about them? Maybe for her own, gain later on. But I just always never understood, like, what's the point? You don't mess with me and I don't mess with you, and we don't have to. We could just be cordial and mind our business, but yet you feel like you want to go ahead and pry. So we sit down. She's drilling me. She's asking about my family, my husband at the time, about, my outside activities. And I was giving her very like guarded answers, but it was just kind of like almost like, I guess, yeah, she was gaslighting me in a way because I was like in a mind fuck. I was like, huh, this is weird. This is uncomfortable. You don't like me, or you're threatened by me, or I don't know. Or you just want to let other people know that you don't play favorite. I couldn't pin down a motive, to be honest. But I just know that I was super uncomfortable, didn't really like her. She tried to have this like protective thing, but would also still hang me out to dry. So it was a very unhealthy dynamic, which was, again, like I said, very different from that mentorship dynamic.
I gave you more than I gave to myself. You had me on a shelf, but now I'm somewhere else. I was bending, breaking, lost in your storm. Now I'm a hurricane in my purest form. You tried to play me like a fool, had me doubting my worth. Nah, I flipped the script on you, reborn from the dirt. You thought I stayed down? Nah, new mindset, I'm putting me first. This ain't no apology, this my reign. No more bowing down, I'm done with the games. Toxic love, no, I broke that spell. I'm the villain in your story, I wrote you. Messy goddess, fierce, wild.